We were so wrong. We were wrong. For decades, doctors told people your age that fatigue, brain fog, and slow recovery were just part of getting older. They were wrong. And the proof is now sitting in peer-reviewed journals that most physicians haven't read yet, because what research has discovered isn't about willpower, it isn't about exercising more or sleeping differently. It's about something happening inside every single cell in your body right now, something you can actually change, and you can start changing it today, before you even finish this video. If you're over 65 and you've noticed your energy isn't what it used to be, your body takes longer to recover. Your mind feels slower than you know it should, and mornings feel harder before they feel better. This video was made for you, not for people half your age, for you, because the 7 foods I'm about to walk you through have something in common that almost no one talks about. They don't just give you energy, they rebuild the machinery that makes energy. And that distinction changes everything. Stay with me, because the 3rd food on this list is the one most people your age are already not eating. And the difference it makes inside your cells is something your doctor probably hasn't mentioned once. Let me paint you a picture you might recognize. You wake up in the morning, and before you've even moved, before you've even opened your eyes, you already know it's going to be a slow start. You swing your legs over the side of the bed, you sit there for a moment. Not because you want to, because your body needs that moment. By 10 in the morning, you've already done things that used to feel effortless. Made breakfast, answered a message, maybe watered the garden, and you're already tired. Not sleepy, tired. That deep, cellular kind of tired that sleep doesn't fully fix. Is this you? Because if it is, I want you to know something before we go any further. This is not weakness. This is not laziness. And it is not simply the price of getting older. It is biology. Specific, measurable, understandable biology. And it has a name. The name is mitochondrial decline. Your mitochondria are the tiny, energy-producing structures inside your cells, sometimes called the powerhouses, because that's exactly what they are. Every movement you make, every thought you think, every heartbeat, it all runs on the energy your mitochondria produce. And here is what the research now confirms. By the time most people reach their late 60s, mitochondrial function has declined significantly. A study published in 2019 followed over 400 adults between the ages of 65 and 80 and found that mitochondrial efficiency dropped by nearly 40% compared to younger adults, and that this decline was directly linked to fatigue, slower recovery, and reduced muscle function, 40%. Not a small number, but here is the part that changes everything. That same study found that specific dietary compounds, not supplements, not prescriptions, not extreme interventions, could measurably improve mitochondrial function in as little as 8 weeks. 8 weeks, not months, not a year of patience, 8 weeks of eating differently, and the cells begin responding. I spoke to Margaret, 71 years old. She had been dealing with what she called a battery that never charges, her words, for almost 4 years. She had tried iron supplements, better sleep routines, cutting back on coffee. Nothing moved the needle. Then she began incorporating 3 of the foods on this list consistently. At 6 weeks, she said something had shifted. At 10 weeks, she told her daughter she felt like she was running on a fuller tank than she had in years. Margaret's story is not unique, and the reason it isn't unique is because the science behind it is real, repeatable, and it applies directly to people your age. Now that you understand why the energy loss is happening, let's talk about what actually rebuilds it. Before we get to the foods, I want to be honest with you about something, because I think you deserve that. Most of what you've heard about energy and aging has been incomplete. Not wrong exactly, but incomplete in a way that has left millions of people your age feeling like decline is inevitable when it isn't. The incomplete story goes like this. Your mitochondria get damaged as you age, free radicals build up, and that's just how it goes. The complete story adds this. Mitochondria are not static. They are dynamic. They respond to input. They respond to specific compounds found in specific foods. They can multiply. They can repair. And the process that triggers this is called mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new mitochondria inside your cells. What activates mitochondrial biogenesis? A molecule called PGC1-alpha. Think of it as the switch. And the foods on this list flip that switch. This is what the research has been quietly revealing for the last decade. And it's what most mainstream conversations about aging energy still aren't saying clearly enough. Now let's talk about what to eat. Food number one was dark leafy greens, specifically spinach and Swiss chard. You've heard this before. But here is what you probably haven't heard. The reason leafy greens matter for your mitochondria has nothing to do with iron. It has to do with nitrates. Dietary nitrates, the kind found naturally in dark greens, are converted in your body into nitric oxide, a molecule that directly improves mitochondrial efficiency. A clinical trial published in 2021 involving adults over 60 found that regular consumption of nitrate-rich greens improved cellular oxygen utilization by up to 22%. What that means in your body, the energy your mitochondria produce from the same amount of fuel gets measurably more efficient. You aren't working harder to make energy, your cells just get better at it. What this means for you, a generous handful of spinach a day, in a smoothie, sautéed with olive oil, mixed into eggs, is not a garnish. It is a mitochondrial input. Treat it like one. Food number 2, wild-caught salmon. The connection here is omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA and EPA. Your mitochondrial membranes are made largely of fat. The quality of that fat determines how fluidly the mitochondria can work, how efficiently they can generate energy, and how well they resist damage from oxidative stress. A study published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry in 2018, following adults aged 60 to 75, found that consistent omega-3 intake was associated with significantly better mitochondrial membrane integrity and reduced markers of cellular fatigue. Aim for 2 to 3 servings per week. Canned, wild salmon counts. This does not need to be expensive or complicated. Food number 3, blueberries. This is the one I promised you. And the reason most people your age aren't eating it consistently enough is simple. It doesn't feel medicinal. It feels like a snack. But the compound inside blueberries, pterostilbena, a close relative of resveratrol, has been shown in multiple studies to directly activate PGC1-alpha, the mitochondrial biogenesis switch we talked about earlier. A 2017 study published in Aging Cell, specifically following adults over 65, found that participants who consumed blueberries regularly showed measurable increases in mitochondrial marker activity within 10 weeks. 10 weeks, and they didn't change anything else. Just the blueberries, half a cup a day. That's it. Now let's pause here for a moment because I want to address something important. There are doctors who will tell you that diet alone cannot meaningfully reverse mitochondrial aging. And there are researchers who will tell you the evidence is more compelling than most clinicians acknowledge. This debate is real. The data does not claim a cure. What it claims, consistently across multiple peer-reviewed studies, is measurable improvement in mitochondrial function through specific dietary inputs. That improvement translates to how you feel, how fast you recover, how much energy you carry through your day. For people your age, That is not a small thing. Comment energy below if getting your energy back is your biggest priority right now. Comment recovery if your body's slow bounce back after any effort is what's wearing you down most. I read every single one, and your answer will shape what I cover next. Let's keep going because we're not done. Food number 4, walnuts. Walnuts are one of the only plant foods with a significant content of ALA, the plant form of omega-3, combined with a compound called ellagic acid. Ellagic acid is a polyphenol that has been shown to reduce mitochondrial oxidative stress, which is the cellular wear and tear that accumulates with age and slows energy production. A clinical study in 2020 focused on adults between 68 and 82 found that daily walnut consumption was associated with improved cognitive energy and reduced fatigue scores over 12 weeks. A small handful, about 14 walnut halves, is the studied amount, not a bag, not a snack bowl, a small, intentional handful. Food number 5, beets. Beets work through the same nitrate pathway as leafy greens, but with a much higher concentration. If you find spinach difficult to eat in large amounts, beets are your ally. They also contain a compound called betaine, which supports the production of creatine, a molecule your muscle mitochondria use directly for rapid energy. Athletes have known about beet juice for years. But the research on older adults is what's particularly compelling. A 2022 study published in Nutrients found that adults over 60 who consumed beet juice 3 times per week for 8 weeks showed significant improvements in both physical endurance and subjective energy levels. 8 weeks, 3 times a week. That is an achievable, low-friction change. Food number 6, green tea. The compound here is EGCG, epigallocatechin galate. It is one of the most studied polyphenols in nutritional science. EGCG has been shown to activate the AMPK pathway, essentially a cellular energy sensor, which in turn supports mitochondrial biogenesis and helps clear out damaged mitochondria through a process called mitophagy. Think of mitophagy as your body's way of taking out the cellular garbage. The damaged mitochondria that slow down your energy production get recycled, new ones get built in their place. A study from 2016 following adults aged 60 to 70 found that consistent green tea consumption over 8 weeks was associated with improved mitochondrial marker profiles and reduced oxidative stress, 1 to 2 cups per day, not a supplement, not an extract. Actual brewed green tea consumed consistently. Food number 7, organ meats, specifically liver. I know this is the one that surprises people, but bear with me for 60 seconds because the nutritional profile of liver is unlike almost any other food on Earth when it comes to mitochondrial support. Liver is extraordinarily rich in CoQ10, coenzyme Q10, which is the molecule your mitochondria use to generate ATP, the actual energy currency of your cells. CoQ10 production declines with age. That decline is measurable, and it is linked directly to the fatigue and slow recovery that many people over 60 experience. Liver is also rich in riboflavin, vitamin B2, which is essential for the electron transport chain, the biological process your mitochondria use to convert food into energy. A 2-ounce serving of beef liver once a week provides more mitochondria-supportive nutrition than most people get in an entire month. If the taste is a barrier, start with chicken liver pate on a small cracker. The culinary traditions around organ meats go back thousands of years across dozens of cultures. Your generation may have grown up eating this. Your cells remember it, even if your taste buds have forgotten. Now I want to talk about the 3 mistakes I see people make when they try to change their diet for energy. Because the foods matter, but the pattern matters just as much. Mistake number 1, treating these foods as occasional additions rather than consistent inputs. Your mitochondria don't improve from a single meal. They improve from repeated signals over time. The studies I've cited measured results at 8 to 12 weeks of consistent intake, not once a week, not when you remember. Daily, or as close to daily as you can manage. The problem isn't that people don't try, it's that they add a food for a few days, don't feel a dramatic shift, and quietly drop it. The biology doesn't work that way. The signal needs to repeat. And here is what people who stick with it say: the shift isn't dramatic at first, it's subtle. One morning you notice you didn't sit on the edge of the bed as long. One afternoon you realize you haven't reached for a second coffee. Those are early signals, and the people who notice them are the ones who kept going. Mistake number 2, expecting energy in the first week and quitting before the 6th. I want to be honest with you about the timeline, because patience isn't something anyone should have to summon endlessly, but 6 to 8 weeks is real. Mitochondrial biogenesis is a biological process. It takes time for new mitochondria to be built, for damaged ones to be cleared, for the cellular machinery to begin operating more efficiently. The research doesn't show results at 2 weeks, it shows them at 6 to 12. If you are at week 3 and nothing feels different yet, you are not failing. You are in the middle of a biological process that hasn't finished yet. Keep going. Mistake number 3. Doing this in isolation. This is the mistake almost nobody talks about, but it may be the most important one. The research consistently shows that the people who maintain dietary changes for the long term are the ones who are not doing it alone. A spouse who knows, a friend who is making the same changes, a community of people your age who understand what you are trying to do and why. Sharing what you're learning, even showing someone this video, is not a small act. It is one of the most powerful tools for staying consistent. If you know someone in their 60s or 70s who has been dealing with low energy, slow recovery, or that feeling of running on a depleted battery, share this with them. You might give them something their doctor hasn't. And before you go, I promised you something extra. Here is one thing you can do today, not next week, not after a shopping trip, today, that begins sending a mitochondrial signal immediately. Brew 1 cup of green tea. While it steeps, eat a small handful of blueberries, that is it. That combination, EGCG plus pterostilbene, creates a synergistic activation of the mitochondrial pathways we talked about. It takes 4 minutes. It costs almost nothing, and it is a first step that the people who made the most progress in the studies I reviewed were already doing every single morning. You don't need a dramatic overhaul. You need one consistent first step, and that is yours. Here is what I want you to take from this video. Your mitochondria are not finished. They are not past saving. They are not simply surrendering to time. They are responding right now, today, to every input you give them. The fatigue you've been feeling is not your fault. It is not weakness. It is a measurable biological shift that specific foods have been scientifically shown to address in people exactly your age, in timelines you don't have to wait months to begin feeling. The 7 foods are dark leafy greens for nitric oxide and mitochondrial efficiency, wild-caught salmon for membrane integrity and cellular energy, blueberries for mitochondrial biogenesis activation, walnuts for oxidative stress reduction, beets for nitrate power and creatine support, green tea for cellular cleanup and energy sensing, and organ meats, specifically liver, for CoQ10 and the electron transport chain. These aren't trends. These are not things a wellness influencer invented last year. These are foods with peer-reviewed, age-matched evidence behind them. Evidence that says your cells can respond, your energy can shift, and you don't have to wait long to start feeling the first signals. Consistency matters more than intensity. Always, small steps, repeated over weeks, Create the kind of change you can actually feel. If this helped you, hit like. It takes 1 second and it helps someone else your age find this information. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. What I'm covering next goes even deeper into the specific timing and combinations that maximize what we talked about today. And if you haven't yet, drop your comment below. Energy or recovery, I read every single one. You are not too late, and you don't have to do this alone.